Hello, my favorite history scholars. This is Miss Ziegler here with you doing your notes on Screencast-O-Matic. We'll see how this works. Today we're going to talk about the Mauryan and Gupta empires in India. And if any time I'm going too quickly, just simply pause it and you can start it back up when you're ready to move on. The first thing that is unique to India is the caste system. Okay, this is a little bit different than a class system. The other empires are all called class systems. Here in India, they call it a caste system. Here are the different castes here. It starts up here with the gods being on top, Brahmin, and all the way down to the untouchables. So take a minute to draw that chart into your notebook and get down the descriptions of each one. You may want to pause the video because I'm going to flip ahead. Maybe. There we go. All right. So this is Chandragupta. He is the emperor from 321 BCE to 298 BCE. He united northern India. That's one of the important things that he did. He was also able to defeat the Persians. Once he did that, he divided the empire into provinces. Each province had a tax assessment and law enforcement in that province. One interesting thing about him is that he really feared assassination. He would have food tasters, who were people who would taste his food before he ate it just to make sure it wasn't poisoned. And he slept in different rooms to avoid someone coming in and killing him. In 301 BCE, he gave up his throne. This is a map of the Mauryan Empire. You can see the part in green is the part that Chandragupta had, and Ashoka is going to come in and expand it, and we're going to talk about him next. This guy right here was Chandragupta's advisor. He was from the Brahmin caste, and he was a guide to the king and the ministers. He supported royal power, or a monarchy. Think about that for a minute. Why do you think he supported royal power? I'm going to give you just a second to think about that. It's a big possibility that he supported royal power because he was in power due to royalty, right? So think about point of view there. He was also a very high class. Brahmin is the top class. He believed that there was evil in society and that it would result in anarchy if a single authority did not control the empire. You may want to pause it here if you're not finished writing. Then we have Ashoka. He is emperor from 304 to 236 BCE. He's an interesting character because he had a religious conversion after a gruesome battle that he was in when he was in the military. And after that conversion, he dedicated his life to Buddhism. This really affected the way he ruled. Remember, once again, point of view. You might want to pause it here to give yourself a minute to write those things. One of the things that he did is that he built extensive roads. He also was in conflict with the way that Kautilya, the guy before this slide, wanted to run things. Basically, he wanted the Buddhist ideology to rule the government. He wanted the government to be selfless, the way that Buddhists are selfless. This is Ashoka's empire. You can see that it is a little bit bigger than Chandragupta. Ashoka had a very interesting law code. What he did is that he put out edicts and scattered them in 30 places around the empire. Some were in India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Edict is E-D-I-C-T-S. He did these on huge, ginormous pillars that were 40 to 50 feet high. You probably couldn't even see the very top of the pillar in order to read these edicts, but he had 10 very famous ones that were called rock edicts. These are the pillars that I'm talking about. and they were written in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is Sanskrit. There were a couple in Greek as well. And his laws were guided and dominated by Buddhist principles. Okay, once again, point of view. Religion really, really affects his point of view. If you need to rewind a little bit, go ahead and do that now. Okay, moving on. What is a power vacuum? Think about it for a minute. A power vacuum is an analogy. Think of it this way. Politically, it means when someone has lost control of something and no one is there to replace them. The situation can occur when a government has no identifiable central power or authority. And this is what happened after Ashoka's reign in the Mauryan Empire. There's a huge power vacuum and there's no one there to replace him. Pause it here for a minute if you need a second to write that down. So during this turmoil and power vacuum, this happens between 220 BCE and 320 CE, the Mauryan Empire is divided into many kingdoms, as you can see here on this map. So just write down that the power vacuum causes the Mauryan Empire to be divided in different kingdoms. Then the Gupta Empire starts in 320 CE to 647 CE. Gupta rulers, the first one is Chandragupta I. This is when he rules, and he is declared the great king of kings. And then we have Samudragupta, and that's when he rules, and Chandragupta II. He was profitable with trade in the Mediterranean. He also helped Hindu revive itself, and he was part of defending the Gupta Empire during the Han invasion. If you need to pause it here to get this down, go ahead and do that. Okay, this is the map of Chandragupta II's empire. Then, of course, comes the decline of the Guptas. This happens because of an invasion of the White Huns. It signals the end of the Gupta Golden Age. Even though at first the Guptas defeated them, after their decline of the Gupta Empire, North India broke into a number of separate Hindu kingdoms and was not really unified again until the coming of the Muslim religion. If you need to pause and rewind at that point, you can. Trade routes during the Guptas looked like this. Okay, remember we talked about the sea trade routes and the Silk Road. So you can put something down in your notes that during the Gupta Empire, the trade routes passing through made the empire very profitable. They had extensive trade between themselves and China, especially because they were so close to each other. You can put down that they received gold and ivory to trade with other parts of Asia. They also received spices to trade with Europe, and cotton goods to trade with Asia and Africa. Also, horses came into India, and rice and wheat went out. Silk came into India as well. Hinduism. Hinduism has three main deities. Some believe that these deities are all one. Some believe that they're three separate. It depends on which branch of Hinduism you're looking at. Here are the names of the deities here. Brahma is the creator and personified universal spirit. Vishnu is the preserver god. Shiva is the god of death and fertility. And the Puranas are the words of the gods. So these are the stories about the gods and the myths that are collected here. It's somewhat like the Bible in Christianity. It would be all the stories in Hinduism. There are great achievements in the Hindu and Buddhist cultures. Some of them include cave temples, which you see here. Several pieces of Buddhist art that are painted on the cave walls, most during the 5th century. These cave temples are near Ajanta, Ajanta, and they're dedicated to the Hindu gods. Also, writings from the Hindu culture. Kalidasa is a very famous Hindu writer. Here's some more information about him that you can get written down. You may want to pause it now. Also, Gupta art is very famous during this time. It greatly influenced Southwest Asia art and architecture. Here's some more about Gupta achievements. You don't have to write all of this down, but you should write these main topics. So for example, medicine, and then choose one of these to write down. Astronomy, choose one. Literature, mathematics. And last but not least is the impact of Islam. The Arab army first conquered northwest India. When the Turks came in, they were conquered by the Arabs, and so they brought Islam into the Hindu and Buddhist worlds. Buddhism never recovered after the great university was destroyed in northern India. The Hindu caste system also became more rigid, and women began wearing veils. So this was one change that occurred as a result of Islam. Some of the lower class Hindus even embraced the equality of the Islamic religion because they were tired of being cast down so much in the caste system. And this concludes your notes today. I hope you enjoyed the Screencast-O-Matic, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.